customers outside the country, which is why a lot of the Indian startups had accounts only in SVB. After this experience, I'm sure
Yeah.
startups will be very mindful to kind of distribute their money so that they do not get into this kind of a situation. And they definitely must do that.
Right. So you're saying the focus will also now be to not just focus on one bank, but try and keep these deposits in different banks. Nitish, lastly, before I let you go, many are also wondering, was a collapse like this not foreseen by anyone? Were there any signs, or was it completely, has it taken everybody by surprise?
Yeah, I think the reality, at least for companies like ourselves and startups in India, I would say is, while we are banking in SVB in the US, and that is also through some subsidiaries of ours, may not really have the exact nuance of what's happening on ground in the banking world. Right? The banking.
Yeah, so many lessons there for startups, hoping that depositors can have access to their money. Nitish, appreciate you joining us here on CNN News 18. With that, completely out of time, news continues here on CNN News 18.
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. Rahul Gandhi's UK speeches continue to rock Indian Parliament. Both the Houses of Parliament were adjourned today over uproar over Rahul's comments. The BJP is standing firm on a demand for an apology from the Gandhi scion for insulting India abroad. Senior ministers have accused Rahul of demanding foreign intervention into Indian politics. On the other hand, the Congress defended and backed Rahul Gandhi's comments. Congress MP Shashi Tharoor, for example, said that Indian democracy is a matter of international importance and Rahul just expressed his concerns over it. The Congress also claimed, as they have in the past, that before 2014, even Prime Minister Narendra Modi has attacked UPA government overseas, and they termed the protest by the BJP over Rahul Gandhi's comments a diversionary tactic to take away attention from the demand for a JPC in Adani Hindenburg report case. It's another matter that even the opposition is actually not on the same page as far as this JPC demand is concerned. Now, Rahul Gandhi's aide, Sam Pitroda, came to the former's defense today, alleging that lies are being propagated about his speech and that Rahul never asked for foreign intervention. But is that defense really holding up when Rahul's speech is actually on camera? We've all heard it. Has the damage already been done for the Congress party? Should the Congress continue to dig in its heels? Or should Rahul Gandhi apologize for internationalizing Indian democracy? We'll take those questions to our guests in just a bit. But first up, Sam Pitroda tried to defend Rahul and his statements. Let's just juxtaposition both and you can make a judgment for yourself whether Rahul is guilty of asking for foreign intervention or not. So Rahul Gandhi had said that a huge chunk of democracy, that is India, has come undone. This in itself is a big charge because he means to say that India is no longer a democracy. Sam Pitroda says that there needs to be a need to understand and not misunderstand what Rahul has said. Now, categorically speaking, Rahul Gandhi had said that US and EU are not doing enough to restore democracy in India. Now, this is the statement that is seen as the one that got him in trouble. But Pitroda says that Rahul never invited any foreign countries to help. Now, that's the bone of contention. Rahul Gandhi also said defenders of democracy like US and EU are oblivious to what's happening in India. He's also added that we know why they're not doing anything because there are concerns of trade and investments involved. Pitroda says that there are some people who are promoting lies and attacking Rahul Gandhi. Now, does his charge stand? We'll debate that in just a bit. But Sam Pitroda himself is not new to controversies and statements that have landed the Congress party in a soup in the past. In fact, in the run-up to 2019 general elections, he said, for example, that Pulwama-type attacks happen all the time. Soon after that, he had also questioned the Balakot airstrikes, asking, did India really attack and kill 300 people? In May 2019, he had come under a lot of criticism for saying that the 1984 anti-Sikh riots, hua to hua, as if it doesn't really matter, it happened, so it happened. That was a statement that did not go down well for the Congress party. He had to later apologize as well. So the big question we're asking today, with a lot of these defenses coming in for Rahul Gandhi from the Congress party, even from Sam Pitroda, the question is, has Rahul Gandhi truly crossed the line and should he apologize as the BJP is demanding? Before we go across to our debate, let's also mention how Union Minister Hardeep Puri has commented on this entire democracy debate That conversation exclusively with him is coming up a little bit later in the show.
The surprising thing is that the so-called defenders of democracy, which are the United States, European country, seem to just be oblivious.
माननीय सदस्य देश के बाहर जाके एक अपने पार्लियामेंट के बारे में ऐसे उल्टे सीधे बयान करे, इस बात की निंदा भी करनी पड़ेगी और उन्होंने यहाँ पे आके माफी मांगनी पड़ेगी.
Nobody gives Rahul Gandhi the right to tarnish the image of India, spread lies about India, and spoil the image of the parliament. He should come back and apologize.
I don't believe that Rahul Gandhi has said anything that requires an apology. In every one of them, he consistently expressed concern, and at the same time, he also said, this is our problem, we will deal with it, but you need to be aware of it.
सरकार खुद नहीं चलाना चाहते हैं हाउस. कल ऐसा नज़ारा कभी देखा है कि सरकार के मंत्री गण, सरकार के सारे MP गण सब मतलब सदन को ठप करने के लिए किस तरीके से हंगामा किए हैं.
Let's open this up to the guests joining us. Charu Pragya from the BJP, Sujata Paul from the Congress Party, Ratan Sharda, RSS researcher and author also on the show, and senior journalist Neerja Chowdhury is also joining us. Let me go across to Sujata Paul first up. Sujata, you know, a lot of people are feeling that the Congress Party is defending the indefensible here. Rahul Gandhi's speech is on record, it is on camera, it has a certain impact. Then let's say if you are quoted, and then you can even argue that you were misquoted or people didn't understand what you were saying. But we've heard the entire interaction he gave in UK, and what is the defense? That he wasn't asking foreign powers to intervene. In fact, he did say we know why they're not doing anything.
First of all, Rahul Gandhi did not say that. And secondly, the government is only trying to do the indefensible. That is, it is trying to stall the parliament because it does not want to say the A of Adani, C of China, and in between the C of corruption or the B of Bhrashtachar. The point is that if the government cannot run the house, and especially the budget session, what do you expect from this government? This government has proved that Rahul Gandhi has rattled them so much that they don't have any answers to the questions that he has raised. Of course, democracy is at stake. And I don't need to go into all those statements that the Prime Minister has made in the past where he has insulted the country.
No,
and he should apologize.
Fair enough. We have discussed that. Of course, the Prime Minister has criticized UPA era, or for example, when Congress was in power, lack of development during those times. That's a political attack. But he has not asked for any countries to intervene in Indian business. You are saying Rahul Gandhi did not say that. What is it that you're saying he did not say? I ran a bite of his. I can run that full chunk. He did say.
Yes, you can run the whole.
That defenders of democracy are not doing enough to restate democracy in India.
Yes, you can run the entire show that happened there.
Yes.
The Prime Minister and his cronies are rattled that they have to go abroad and organize mega events and send their own people over there before you have an event hailing Modi. But when you have Rahul Gandhi, when you have Rahul Gandhi being invited by the UK Parliament, that has to rattle him. He's just an opposition leader.
No, that's not the issue here. Sujata, let me rephrase what I'm asking. One second. That's not the issue here. He goes overseas earlier. He's welcome to go overseas. Obviously, nobody's pointing that out. In fact, I firmly believe he's welcome to criticize even things about India or Indian politics overseas. The particular issue is asking foreign powers or other countries to intervene in Indian business. You are saying he didn't say that, but he did say that.
No, I'm sorry, he did not. If he is being asked a question, then he will answer it the way he wants to.
Yeah, and he chose to answer it in a manner where he said that US and European nations are not doing enough about restoring democracy in India. What are they supposed to do?
Yeah, you can interpret it or misinterpret it the way you want to. But if anybody questions us, how we react to a certain situation like the Russia-Ukraine war, then we have every right to ask them, what are you doing when things are happening in my country? Do you react?
So-
Why do you expect me to react? But nobody is asking them to
No, one second.
intervene in our affairs.
You've just
And
come. No,
Rahul
one second.
Gandhi has
You've taken it a step
categorically
further now.
said-
No, one second.
No, Rahul
India.
Gandhi
One
has
second.
said
Sujata,
categorically-
Sujata,
Let
one
me
second.
complete.
I don't want to speak over you.
You will not.
No, one second.
No, you will let me complete. You
No,
will
I'll let you complete.
Rahul
But I'm just
Gandhi has
drawing your attention to
categorically
what you have just
that
said.
nobody
You
can
have compared
interfere
to
in our
what
affairs.
Rahul Gandhi has said about EU and US not intervening in India to questions over India about Russia, Ukraine. First of all, no one expects India to intervene in Ukraine. There were questions over India's relationship with Russia and nothing else. And India has denied that it is going to behave in any partisan manner, but that's a separate matter. How does that compare to
Don't make it a
Indian
separate
democracy?
matter.
The question of
You
Indian
can
democracy.
question-
We are not
You
at
can
war.
question- when you are questioning Rahul Gandhi today,
Huh.
it just proves that whatever Rahul Gandhi says matters to India.
Of course
Whatever
it matters
Rahul
to
Gandhi
India. He's
says-
talking about
Yes,
India
I am
overseas.
glad that you are saying that. Of course, because his stature as a leader of this country is well recognized, and that
But
is
how
the
is he
reason why
using that
Rahul
stature
Gandhi
is
is
the
attacked.
question. Okay.
I want to
Should
understand
a
why is
person
the
of a stature,
parliament
one
getting
second, Sujata,
stalled?
should a
Why don't
person
we have
of
a
the
JPC?
stature of Rahul Gandhi, multiple time parliamentarian, current sitting parliamentarian, should go overseas and say there is no democracy in India and other
Of
so-called
course.
defenders of democracy are not doing anything? Should he do that?
Of course.
Does that behoove a parliamentarian of his stature?
Of course. If he is talking
Wow.
about democracy at stake in the country, there's nothing wrong about it.
No, not
And
not
it
the
was
fact that
Arun
democracy
Jaitley.
is at
Hang on.
stake.
It
It is
Arun
the
Jaitley,
fact
no,
about EU
if
and
you
and US
listen-
not doing enough to quote restore
not
democracy.
listening.
I listened to you, Sujata. I've given you 5 minutes.
No.
But
hang on.
I have to go across. No, I have
Already-
limited time. I have to go
okay,
across to
when
Charu Pragya now.
2015,
Sujata, I'll try and
when
come back to you.
Arun
Please,
Jaitley-
let's not
Arun
go
Jaitley,
back
let
to
me
2015.
complete.
No, one second. Charu
No, you
Pragya.
have to.
Charu Pragya,
You
one second.
don't
One second.
speak.
Sujata, please don't speak over me. Charu Pragya, the Congress party, one says you have done this in the past, in the sense the Prime Minister has also gone overseas and brought in domestic politics overseas. And secondly, nothing that Rahul Gandhi has said is so problematic. He has expressed his concerns. Why is the BJP up in arms and demanding an apology? And for that, you are using tactics that you have not condoned in the past, which is stalling parliamentary proceedings.
Good evening, Shivani. See, I think what Sujata is trying to do today is indefensible, and I don't know if she really believes in this or this is the job required of her, and that's why she needs to make all these illogical arguments right now. First of all, what Rahul Gandhi has said is on camera. This is not something that I have said, BJP has said, the Honorable Prime Minister has said, or CNN News 18 has said. Rahul Gandhi has said this, it is on camera, and I don't know why these Congress leaders cannot understand the fact that what is visible to the world cannot be defended like this. How are you going abroad and asking for intervention in Indian domestic matters? We are a sovereign nation, and if you cannot handle the opposition politics, maybe you should take retirement from politics altogether. So Sujata is comparing the situation between Russia and Ukraine to the situation in India. Sujata, please tell me, who's the Russia here, who's the Ukraine, which country is at war? Because India is India, and then I want to know which country is the
Understand what
Congress
people
representing.
Okay, let her
Which
respond now.
country
Let
is
her respond.
representing?
Charu, let her respond. Let her respond. Not at the same
No,
time,
can
please. No, but you won't
no,
be
can
able
I
to
finish?
be heard.
Can I
Both of you talk
finish
at the same time.
speaking?
Okay, you finish.
Also, he's
You
a
finish.
serial offender, Shivani. This is not the first time he's gone abroad and dragged the name of India through mud.
No,
Whether
but
it
this is the
him
first time
or
that you
the
can
other
accuse
leaders
Rahul Gandhi
supported by
of
him.
asking of any foreign intervention. He has not done in the past. And yes, he has criticized the BJP and the Indian government and Indian institutions overseas. That's not quite the same matter as the intervention we are dealing with.
See, every time the name of India has been dragged through mud, we have understood that it is either the Congress or other leaders of the Congress party who are behind it. This has happened too many times to name. How many leaders, how many times have spoken against India, whether it is a Shashi Tharoor, whether it is a Hari Shankar Iyer. The fact of of the matter is that whenever there is a question of choosing a side, Congress is on the side that is anti-India, and that is all that there is to it. Asking for foreign intervention when the world is fighting for sovereignty is rich, and then sitting here on national television and defending it is the worst thing that I can imagine.
Neerja Chowdhury,
I heard Mr. Sarur. He's pretending that they're all deaf. They couldn't even hear the statement.
well, the public will decide for it. Neerja Chowdhury, I want to focus particularly on the foreign intervention part, because I think one can make an argument that you can go overseas and even criticize your own country. That falls within your freedom of speech. But of course, as a parliamentarian especially, to ask for, let's say, any other country to intervene in your domestic matters is a completely different ballgame. Do you believe that Rahul Gandhi essentially got that messaging wrong and it's really hurting the Congress party?
Yes, I believe that Rahul Gandhi got that wrong, even though I absolutely agree with you that he has the right to criticize in government of India, even India. I can go to Cambridge and say the caste system in India is terrible. We need to do something about it. It will be perfectly in order. If I have that right to say that in India, I have a right to say it abroad. But on the foreign intervention, what he said was, and it was to the journalists, Indian journalists, that the European countries and the US were oblivious, that's the word he used, of what was going on, and silent when democracy in India was undone. Undone was the question, was the word he used. So you can say, if you want to be charitable, that he was not asking them to intervene in India, even as a rhetorical question. I think it's a very problematic for an Indian for any Indian leader, any leader of a confident country to make that proposition. Afterwards, at Chatham House, he corrected himself and made things very clear that we will deal with our problem, because he realized there was a outcry against what he had said. Now, I think that was, as you asked, it was a problematic formulation.
What's the way out?
Has embarrassed the Congress party. So it is, you know what it's done, which is unfortunate. It has made Rahul Gandhi the issue, not the issues that he was trying to raise. That is the unfortunate part of it also. Now, should he make an apology? You know, you apologize when you really feel, you know, I've done something wrong. I have overreached. I've hurt somebody. I've hurt interests of the country. But he doesn't. He thinks he's, you know, what he said should be raised. So I think this is not a question of apology. Politically, it's made it into an issue of Narendra Modi versus Rahul Gandhi again. Whereas the most important thing for the opposition in the 2024 battle is getting the opposition united as far as possible. Rahul Gandhi versus Narendra Modi suits the BJP to the hilt.
Ratan Sharda, my question was going to be exactly that. Of course, Neerja is saying that this is a question politically of what it can do to the equation ahead of 2024 elections, and it has put the Congress party's messaging wrong. Many believe that it has actually undone some of the benefits that the Congress may have earned because of Rahul Gandhi helming the Bharat Jodo Yatra. He's hurt his own benefits that he accrued by making some of these statements, including the one that there is no democracy in India, the fact that EU and US are not doing enough to restore democracy in India, and we know why they're not doing it. And then, of course, the attack on institutions, Indian judiciary, and all institutions are basically not working properly, and they're not serving their interest to the Indian citizens. All of that, do you think, is going to eventually hurt the Congress party, then help it in its battle against the BJP in 2024?
Shivani, Rahul Gandhi spent nearly 3 months, I think, on the road, and very well done. And he talked all along about love, about there being no disturbance in India, people living happily. And then he goes outside and messes up everything. He's a sore loser, he has told people. His party has won a few elections, lost many. But having won a few elections, how does he put doubt on election commission? How does he put doubt on the judiciary? This is my problem. My problem is not telling people about, you know, what they are doing about democracy. My problem is that raising doubts about our democracy, which is running fine, raising doubts about our institutions, which reflects very poorly on India. Already there are people, Soros gang and Omidyar gangs, which are trying to put India down in hunger index, in freedom of democracy index, which are nothing but made up stupid indexes, which has no base. But these people keep on quoting that. And coming to another important issue, when these Congress people say that why no Adani, nothing, when an Hindenburg short seller stock player puts up a report that needs a JPC, but when an international body like FATF puts up a report about Priyanka Gandhi's paintings and the stuff of all those kind, will it not require JPC? So the leaders of the Congress don't realize there is one report which is totally by an independent body which is fighting money laundering. Other report is by short seller who made money, heaps of money out of it. Thirdly, when they say Adani ko duniya mein sab jagah bitha diya, tell me which other company in the world has in India has skills to create that diamond necklace vis-a-vis the pearl of necklace of pearls of China to counter Chinese influence. Are we going to talk all these things about in the open and destroy strategic schemes of India? Do you think that any other Indian industrialist had the skills to manage such huge ports across the world? And rather than lauding this diamond necklace protection against the Chinese, we are making a joke of it. We are trying
about it. That's a slightly different issue as far as industrialists are concerned.
Where is the loss? LIC bought the shares at the bottom price. They have benefited out of it. These people claim they have had a loss. And for 0.9% shareholding, they are claiming that everybody should go on board and create a JPC.
Okay, but I'm not getting into the Adani issue per se, but yes, that is the demand that many opposition leaders are making, that there should be a JPC on it. But I cannot quite go into that issue because I don't have enough time. I'll give 30 seconds each to our political panelists one more time. Sujata, I'll give you 30 seconds. Even your well-wishers feel that statements like these do not help the Congress party. That sometimes Rahul Gandhi is on a tangent that hurts you than helps you.
Absolutely not. When you raise the issues should be targeted. But here, like Ms. Neerja just mentioned, that it is Rahul Gandhi that has to be made an issue about, because that benefits the Bharatiya Janata Party by maligning him and derogating him. But there is a time period for everything. I remember Charu Pragya was on a show with me on your channel only, where at the beginning of the Bharat Jodo Yatra, where she was talking about, after 4 days, he will be going abroad. He will not be able to complete the Yatra. So today when she's speaking here, I do understand where she's coming from. But the fact is that maybe at a particular time, the issues were being suppressed. But now people understand that, because people are also
people will ultimately be the judge of what Rahul Gandhi has said. Charu Pragya, 30 seconds only, please. Final comments. Are you also sticking to this apology demand, which is a little frivolous? It's not going to come, we all know. At least let Parliament function.
See, it's not going to come, that is for sure, because when has an apology come from the Congress party for dragging Indians or Indian institutions down? This has been the norm for them. It has continued for as long as I can remember. That is sad. If Sujata thinks that completing this yatra is applaudable, well done, congratulations. Yes, but this does not mean anything politically, because at the end of the day, what is important for you is to focus on your politics. Also understand that while you're doing that, you cannot,
the bottom line of it. Democracy is
Sujata,
under attack. That is what has to be remembered.
Whether democracy is under attack in India or not like this. Sujata, not like this. You were given time to speak. Please don't interrupt over anybody else. But I've run out of time. I think I get Charu Pragya's central point. Bharat Jodo Yatra's benefits aside, whether democracy is under attack in India aside, the fundamental question is, will people in India like if you go to foreign powers, including our former colonial masters, and ask for intervention? I leave it at that. Let the public be the judge of this. Thanks a lot for all of our guests for joining us. Earlier today, I also interacted with Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri on the entire question of Indian democracy, stalling of Parliament and the criticism of the Modi government, including Rahul Gandhi's speeches overseas. He spoke to me at the Lokmat National Conclave in Delhi. As we celebrate 75 years of our independence and we celebrate Amrit Kal, we look at the next 25 years as India's decades and the next century as India's century. A lot of people, Mr. Puri, would be wondering that if the temple of democracy, which is Parliament, doesn't function, this is what has been discussed in news, this is what citizens talk about. If the temple of democracy, which is Parliament, doesn't function most often, as we've seen, for example, in the current budget session resuming, then is Indian democracy functioning?
We are only a very young, independent country, and moving ahead to 2047, when we will be celebrating 100 years as an independent country, That is only a small percentage of our overall existence. We are trying to do several things simultaneously. We are a robust democracy. We are a somewhat loud democracy. But democracy produces strong institutions, which I believe we have, and Parliament is one of them. But there are some people who, by virtue of the democratic ethos and what results the elections throw up, end up not having even 10% threshold of seats in the lower house to be called or to be formally designated as a leader of opposition. In both houses, they don't have the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha put together, they don't reach a figure of 100. They say that their voice is not heard. I was present in the House when the Honorable President addressed both houses of Parliament. This particular gentleman who goes to a foreign country says that he is not heard. He spoke for 42 minutes. Now maybe he's got selective amnesia, that he doesn't remember his 42-minute speech. Here is a gentleman who goes abroad and decries the absence of democracy. I don't know whether he was born in 1975 or not. That is the only instance I know of where in the history of India, democracy was killed brutally. Civil liberties were suspended, freedom of speech was removed, opposition leaders were locked up. That's the only instance. Who was in power in 1975? Put that aside. A previous government to which this young leader who goes and makes an issue of democracy outside our shores.
You're not naming him.
No, I'll name him in a minute. I have no hesitation in naming him. But I think you don't even need to leave it to everybody. I see all my young friends smiling. There was a government earlier which used a particular section in our constitution, 356, on 100 occasions. To do what? To dismiss legitimate state governments. This gentleman's grandmother used 356 50 times. We have been in power, or we have been in office, Modi ji, since 2014 May. Do any of you remember us ever having used 356? I'm asking you a factual question. Do any of you think we should use 356? Sometimes the individual concerned, proud Punjabi and Sikh like me says, oh my God, we should. Because sometimes I see things spiraling out of control. No, because ours is a system of cooperative federalism. We are constitutionalists. Because the Prime Minister believes in democracy, he's the only Prime Minister of India who, prior to assuming his position as Prime Minister, served for many years as a successful Chief Minister of a state and saw its transformation from devastation on account of an act of nature to bringing it back and making it a successful state. Now, what is democracy? Who is disrupting democracy? I can have a debate with you on that. But let me come back. My answer is India is the largest democracy, oldest democracy, and I'm adding it's the strongest democracy. We have a few comical figures, I'm choosing my words carefully, who want to go outside India and seek the intervention of the outside world to have a regime change in India. Why? Because he thinks, and he has an uncle there somewhere, who's saying, no, look at what he's saying, he's actually not wrong. Arey bhai, if I ever make a statement, no uncle or aunt of mine comes to my rescue. I am viciously trolled on social media, and because I'm in politics now, I wear it as a badge of honor. So I think people who go outside India and criticize and seek the intervention, I'm using it within quotes, of an outside government ought to be ashamed of themselves.
I think this is the longest I've had an interview talk about someone without naming them. So at least I'll frame it in my question this time. You're talking, of course, about Rahul Gandhi. He's been under fire from the BJP and the government in parliament for exactly what
I think he is going to be under fire from his own party. Let me make a prediction. आप में से पंजाबी कितने हैं? साड़ी पंजाबी च कहावत हैगी है, वो गल कहती है, तू मनु मुंह चो कट, मैं तेन शहरों कटांगी. Did you understand that?
Maybe little bit, but please.
Well, I'll translate it for you. You know, there's a little light-hearted saying in Punjabi that the spoken word says, you utter me, you speak me, and I will make sure you will have to leave the city. Some of the statements he has made are atrocious. And I think the problem is not coming from the BJP. It's coming from his own people. Some who are not saying it in public. They're telling it and say, यार ये कहाँ फंस गए? वो जो भी भारत जोड़ने की यात्रा में कोशिश की थी, वो सारी यहाँ पे यार नुकसान हो गया. पता नहीं क्या जोड़ा था, क्या नहीं जोड़ा था. But you have a problem on your hands. I must say, you have to count your assets and liabilities. As far as I'm concerned, I'm quite happy with how he's acting.
Because he's BJP's asset.
He is BJP's asset. I didn't say it. You said it.
I'm inferring from what you said.
You said it. I didn't say it. I mean, at the very least, the man has what is it called? Manoranjan value.
Okay, but let me seriously ask you. The opposition today, led by Congress Party and by Rahul Gandhi, they say that you have usurped the power of all institutions, including what's happening in Parliament. It's not functioning. Their voices are curbed down. Of course, Rajya Sabha chair has responded to that, that nobody's mics were switched off. But the larger question is, the opposition believes that there is no democracy as it used to be since BJP came to power. Why is that?
मैंने आपको पहले भी कहा कि भारत के इतिहास में एक ही सिचुएशन थी जून 1975 में, जब डेमोक्रेसी को ताला मार के कहीं किसी अलमारी में बंद कर दिया था. That is June 1975. Today, democracy means press. Look at what the press is saying. My God. And because we have weak defamation laws, they get away with it. Look what social media is saying. There's no control on what social media says. You can cook up anything against anyone. And as I said, we haven't dismissed any state government. The Supreme Court is as vibrant as... I have to be careful when I use words on the Supreme Court. They're trying to run by metro system. They're trying to, legislate on other areas. Look, we are in a fascinating situation. Because Indian democracy today is the world's largest and the world's strongest, each institution under our democracy, the press, the judiciary, everybody's trying to come into his own. And they will exert themselves, but at the end of the day, the mass is wiser and more constant than the prince. The people will determine. I said in 2019, when people said, 230 aayenge, we did an exercise. How many people are beneficiaries of the different schemes that the Modi government had introduced? And I think the figure was 22 crores. कितने हमारे 2019 के चुनाव में हमारे को votes मिले? 22 crores. And I'm telling you now, this is an election, this is a democratic process where the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, has succeeded in doing one very major thing. He has proved good governance is also good politics. And if these guys continue the way they are, the next election in 2024 will even leave the others. I had predicted 303 in the 2019 election. I'm on record. And I'm telling you, if they continue like this, then apart from the entertainment value, our figure will be even higher than in the 2019 election.
So how much will it be? We are 1 year ahead of 1 year away from the election.
एक साल और 2 महीने रहते हैं. मैंने कहा, if it goes on like this, look, this is an era of numbers. You can quantify the progress. I happen to be the Housing and Urban Affairs Minister, and I tell you the Congress government between 2004 and 14, in a 10-year period, their spend on the urban space, cumulative of all the Kendriya Yojanaएं सब मिला के 1,57,000 crores था. In the 8 years, because Modi ji assumed responsibility in May 2014, the scheme started in June 2015. In the 8 years, the figure now, as against that 1,57,000 crores, is 18 lakh crores. So कहाँ उनका 10 साल में ये और हमारा उससे कितना गुना? No matter which way you look at it. Let me give you, they talk about petrol prices. On 2 occasions, 2021 नवंबर में और 2022 मई में माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने यह निर्णय लिया कि वो सेंट्रल एक्साइज जो होती है पेट्रोल और डीजल पे उसको कम कर देंगे, और उस निर्णय के कारण 21 नवंबर 2021 और मई 2022 के पेट्रोल और डीजल का दाम 13 रुपए और 16 रुपए रिस्पेक्टिवली कम हुआ। आज स्थिति यह है मैडम कि बीजेपी रूल स्टेट और नॉन बीजेपी रूल स्टेट में 15 रुपए पर लीटर का अंतर है in the petrol prices, 15 rupees in 2 neighboring states। और ये इन्फ्लेशन की बात करते हैं, the रेवड़ी पॉलिटिक्स और लूट मचाई हुई है। And if you look at the actual facts, you will discover the difference between good governance and this thing. क्यों? Because they were not willing to reduce the VAT in their, which is a percentage charged in the state governments. So there's a difference in pricing between 15 rupees and 12 rupees between BJP states and non-BJP states.
Well, speaking of Revdi politics and more, on the other side, we will be discussing the old pension scheme clamour. 17 lakh Maharashtra government employees are on an indefinite strike. Will the BJP government bow down to their demands? They've been opposed to bringing back the OPS. More on that on the other side.
Couple of times in the past, also recent past, there were summons and warrants against him, and somehow he got bailed out. One of the times he actually jumped out and, ran into a neighbor's house and escaped while asking his protesters to actually face the wrath of the police. So literally, whatever is happening right now, I think it's not possible for all these things to go through unless there is a clear-cut order and, blessing from the deep state of Pakistan, which is the army and the ISI. I think that, the tug of war that was going on for quite some time between Imran Khan and General Bajwa, it has now taking a new shape altogether. Imran Khan thinks that army wants to, bump him off. And also at the same time, I think, the establishment, I don't know what Shahbaz Sharif government would achieve by it, because in any case, Imran Khan create a massive uprising in the election.
One wonders if a recent look at the history in the last couple of years of Pakistan, what changed so drastically from being the poster boy and a hero for Pakistani army to be the civilian face, some kind of Naya Pakistan narrative that was propelled by his party and him per se, with some kind of, backing from the military establishment. Things have changed drastically for Imran Khan. I'll come back to you, Patikrit. Allow me a moment. There's a reaction coming in from Syed Shehbaz Nadeem Bukhari, who's the DIG Operations Islamabad. Let's listen.
नहीं, इल्जाम क्या है इमरान खान के ऊपर जिसको आप
ये तो डिटेल्स आपको मेरे ख्याल से किसी आप हम बेसिकली जो वारंट्स हैं उनकी तामील करवाने हैं, उन्हें अरेस्ट करना है।
आपको केस का नहीं पता?
ऑफ कोर्स पता है केस का, वो गैर डिटेल्स हम क्यों यहाँ पे डिस्कस कर रहे हैं।
तो भाई साहब गिरफ्तार करके कहाँ पे ले जाएंगे? इस्लामाबाद, कहाँ पे डयाला में रखेंगे या फिलहाल किसी कोर्ट में पेश करेंगे?
भाई पहले हो जाने दें, फिर आपको इंशाल्लाह इन्फॉर्म करते रहेंगे साथ साथ।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू।
Well, that's the word coming in from the top officer, the DIG Operations Islamabad, and he's saying that once the summons are served, once an arrest is done, then we'll tell you more about the case per se. I want to cut across back to Patikrit, who's with us on the broadcast. Patikrit, we were talking about the change of events, the change of things that have happened for Imran Khan, and it's been quite drastic, a complete 360.
Yeah, what I understand is that, Imran Khan being a cricket player at one point of time, he thought the moment that he became the prime minister, like being the world champion, he thought that he's the numero. That's not the way Pakistan politics works. I think he forgot somewhere that his, elevation to the post of the prime minister was entirely because of the blessing of the army. He started taking on the army. He had a huge tiff with the deep state because of, Faiz Hamid being replaced with another person as a DG ISI, and that's where the tug of war started. he actually messed up on a lot of foreign policy issues as well. Over a period of time, I think army got completely frustrated with what he was doing, and eventually, I think there was also pressure from the United States, possibly a combination of several factors together made it very clear that even though he was an outlier and he actually served the purpose of army for some time quite a bit, but then the army probably realized that they are better off with the established political parties, however corrupt they might be. So eventually there was a change of guard that was created. Imran Khan's habit of presuming that he is the one who can change everything in Pakistan, that he is the supreme leader, that nobody can actually defeat him, that he is invincible, actually cost him dearly, and this is where he has been reduced to. I think, but Imran Khan is actually, sorry to say this, but he has this instinct of a cockroach to survive from the Jurassic age till today. So he has capitalized on the situation right now because of the political, economic situation which is imploding. Imran Khan might still again win the election, possibly because he would again bluff the people of Pakistan by giving another, halo of a Naya Pakistan that he would create. But reality is that he doesn't have any plan. In fact, nobody has any plan about Pakistan. So he might ride this wave of popularity that he has, partly because of his personality and also because of the discontent that people have against the establishment and also against the deep state as well, against which they have started talking right now. But
there are reports that high drama is happening in Lahore as Imran Khan faces an imminent arrest. The Islamabad police is at Zaman Park to serve the summon notice to Mr. Imran Khan. That's the word coming in. It's the big piece of breaking news coming in from the neighbouring country of Pakistan. High drama in Lahore as Imran Khan faces imminent arrest. There were summons and warrants that were earlier issued, and now Islamabad police is at Zaman Park to serve summon notice to Imran Khan. That's the word coming in. Imran Khan has been embroiled in a lot of series of confrontations with the Pakistani civilian government, also Pakistani army. There are various sanctions that he's facing from within, various marches that he conducted, you remember. And there was also a sort of attack that had happened on him very recently when he was carrying out a march in various parts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. And right now there is a high voltage drama that has erupted in Lahore. Imran Khan, who was earlier at the helm of affairs leading the country, right now faces a very strong opposition from the civilian government, and also he's not been in good terms with the military establishment. Abhishek with us on the broadcast. Abhishek, tell us more about what's happening.
Heating up, senior police officials are reaching at the venue, Zaman Park, where thousands of PTI supporters are here out sort of Imran Khan's house, and they are not letting the execution of arrest order of Imran Khan happen. In fact, there is a chaos, and it looks like the situation can go beyond the control of police officials, and this is why police have now issued a notification which says that
Welcome back. Over 70 lakh government employees in Maharashtra have started an indefinite strike seeking the restoration of the old pension scheme. From sanitation workers to teachers to doctors, everyone has joined the strike. The strike has affected already health services at government hospitals. Education in schools and colleges is also affected as many teaching and non-teaching staff have gone off duty. Meanwhile, the Maharashtra government led by Eknath Shinde has set up a panel to look into the demands. Sources say as the employees have gone ahead with the strike despite assurances from the government might consider the strike as illegal and may declare the Maharashtra Essential Services Maintenance Act, which basically provisions restraints for government employees related to certain essential services from going on strikes. Now, the BJP was very critical of the Congress's move of restoring old pension schemes in states like Himachal, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan. Now, Deputy Chief Minister of the state, Devendra Fadnavis, has said the party would rethink its stand over this issue. So is the BJP also giving in to pressure? The Reserve Bank has warned against bringing back the old pension scheme, stating it poses a major risk to the state exchequer. Take a look at the impact it can have in Maharashtra, for example. It currently has over 17 lakh government employees. There are 6 lakh pensioners in the state. Around 3% of the employees retire every year, so the pensioners continue to increase. In 2021-22, for example, over 41,000 crores was spent on pensions alone. And if implemented, old pension scheme will increase the burden to as much as 55,000 crore rupees. Is old pension scheme bad economics? Most people say yes, including the likes of Monteng Singh Ahluwalia. He was critical even of Congress governments bringing it back. But let's focus on Maharashtra again. As I mentioned, in 2021-22, Maharashtra government spent over 41,000 crore rupees, which is 15.29% of its revenue as pensions. Salaries and wages accounted for another 37.31%, and 13.72% of the state's revenue was spent on interest and debt servicing. That's a lot, over 60%. In 2023-2024, according to estimates, 56% of the revenue is likely to be spent on salaries, pensions and interest payments. State is estimated to spend 2.24 lakh crore rupees on these three areas alone, which is the fixed expenditure for the state. And return to the old pension scheme will further increase this burden. It also cuts the capacity of the state to spend on infrastructure and development. So the big debate that's coming up with the clamour for the old pension scheme only growing from state to state, even non-Congress state, BJP-led states, has it put the BJP in a catch-22 situation?
The scheme is fully sponsored by these all these international institutions, and all the monies of the employees, as far as government is concerned, every money is getting invested into the stock market. We are not getting fixed returns by this scheme. In the old pension schemes, we were getting 50% of the last basic salary as a pension, in the pension.
ये सरकार कर्मचारी के विरोध में रही है, ये सरकार गरीब के विरोध में रही है। जब कर्मचारी और किसान को देने की और गरीबों को देने की जब बात आती है तो सरकार के तिजोरी पे बोझा बढ़ता है।
जो इम्पोर्टेंट डिपार्टमेंट है उनके लोग यहाँ पर बैठे हुए हैं, तो मुझे लगता है कि सीएम डीसीएम उनसे बात कर रहे हैं। आज भी उनसे शायद बात होगी, उनका जो शिष्टमंडल है वो सब आएगा, उनके साथ में बातचीत होगी और मुझे लगता है बातचीत के जरिए इसका हल निकलेगा।
Krishna Hegde is joining us from the Shiv Sena, the Shinde faction, which of course is now in control of the Shiv Sena party as we knew it. Representative of the government here. Dr. Anshul Avijit is joining us from the Congress party. Yugendra Kapoor and Dr. Santosh Mehrotra, our senior economists, also on the show. But let me go across to our political panelists first. Mr. Hegde, what explains the government's U-turn, or the party, the BJP's U-turn? You're of course in alliance with them. The BJP has been very critical that the OPS is bad economics and it is going to make the future generations pay for the current generation's mistakes. They have opposed it in Congress-led states, and now in Maharashtra, which is BJP Shiv Sena-led, you're looking into these demands and making a U-turn.
See, first let me tell you that we are a government by the people, of the people and for the people. And therefore, whatever benefits the people of Maharashtra, we are trying to do. Like today, we had given rupees 300 per quintal to the farmers who are suffering from unseasonal rains. Similarly, with the demand for the pension scheme, we are looking at what is the cost at the exchequer. And like your report rightly said, it is around 2.2 lakh crore. When you look at the pension, the salaries and the interest which we have to pay. And to generate this, it is a cost on the state exchequer and the treasury. But we in Maharashtra are a progressive state. We are looking at a 1 trillion economy. If anyone can do it, it is the Shiv Sena and the BJP-led government, under the leadership of Honorable Chief Minister Eknath Raoji Shinde and Devendra Fadnavis.
No, I knew that you were going to say this. Once again, I knew that you were going to say this. Maharashtra is a rich state, and you can argue that it is on the path of greater growth and developmental returns. But that still doesn't take away the question that we did away with the old pension scheme for a reason. It's not sustainable. Your parties were in agreement, at least the BJP was. Then whether you can afford it or now in Maharashtra is not the question. It's a principled issue.
So please let me complete what I had started off saying. So both the Chief Minister and the Deputy Chief Minister, Mr. Shinde ji and Fadnavis ji, said we are positive about the scheme. But having said this, we also know that it is going to cost the exchequer X amount of money. which is going to be tough on the state. And therefore, we are looking at a middle path. And Devendra Fadnavis ji has also said that we are looking at a middle path. In that middle path, which I think has been successfully implemented by Jagan Reddy ji in Andhra Pradesh, if the state exchequer is going to be burdened by around 2.2 lakh crores, the deficit in that is going to come to around 1,50,000 crores and 1.50 lakh crores. And therefore, a substantial burden on the exchequer is going to be reduced. And therefore, we are looking at such steps. Obviously, we are going to speak to all the representatives of the delegation, and we are also going to talk to the employees federations. And therefore, we are very positive for the employees, and we will remove via medium where both the government also saves money and also the employees get
okay,
the
if we can find that middle path or not, I'll go to our economist joining us. But Anshul, what do you make of this demand growing in Maharashtra and the government actually coming on board and saying we're going to look into this? As Mr. Hegre is saying, we're going to try and bring in a middle path. The Congress has been in many states the first ones to bring back the old pension scheme. So are you in favor of Maharashtra also doing it? Do you support the government looking into these demands? Anshul, that question is for you. Could you hear me?
Absolutely. I mean, we've always said that.
Yes,
can you hear me?
I can. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we made a promise in Himachal, earlier in other states. It's there in Chhattisgarh, in Rajasthan, in Jharkhand as well. And we hope to bring it in Maharashtra as well. That has been our demand. That has been our position. Yes, that was not always our position in some sort of ways. But you must understand the dynamism of political economy. Otherwise, you never had the reforms in 1991 if we had stuck to old models of economic growth. The reforms, the de-bureaucratization, the liberalization of 1991, which spurred the growth for the next 20 years until this government brought it down. The GDP actually tumbled when this government came into power. Would have never happened unless there was some sort of dynamism in ways that you look at economic policy. So we think that, yes, it's a far more stable way of looking at pensions. You know, it's a very complex question. Let me not underestimate the complexity of the question. It does put burden on the state exchequer, on your fiscal management. That's for sure. But if you're investing in your youth, the people keep saying governments that invest in your youth, surely these youth will get old someday. We need to invest in our old people as well. You can't abandon them. They need social security, a secure income. They need a better quality of life. And we think that this kind of predetermined old pension scheme, which is based on your final payment, 50% of your final basic salary, is better than a market-linked annuity
Fair enough. It is obviously better for the employees. I don't deny that. And there's certain merit that the employees see in bringing back the old pension scheme. But Mr. Mehrotra, I'm coming to you. Fiscally speaking, for each state and, obviously on a broader level for the entire country, every expert believes this is going to be a disaster. So is this more politics? Or is there any real economic sense here?
See, this whole discussion cannot be undertaken simply on fiscal grounds. Let me just put the whole picture before you. 91% of the workforce in our country of 520 million people do not have any old age pension. None. 91%. Of the remaining 9%, half are government employees and they have some sort of old age cover. Some of them are under the old pension scheme, those of them who started with the government until 2004. In 2000, and all of them are continuing under the old pension scheme, right? Let's just be very clear about that. So who is this debate about? In 2004, since then till now, the new pension scheme has been available. In other words, the old pension scheme came to an end, and those who entered government, whether it was state or center or banks, all entered the NPS, the new pension scheme. Now, the new pension scheme is fully funded. The old pension scheme is not fully funded and has always, the funds for paying out of the old age pension under it have always come from general tax revenue. That nowhere in the world are general tax revenues used to pay pensions. You can use general tax revenues to pay current salaries, but never to pay pensions. In other words, there were mistakes made in actuarial planning until 2004 that we now want to revive. The difficulty is, what happens to those people who joined in after 2004 until 2022? Suppose we were to reinstate the OPS now. Who will it apply to? Will it apply to those who joined after 2004 the government and have been under the NPS? Then what happens to the corpus that has been created from 2004 to 2012 under their name? This whole return to OPS works if you say, okay, we are going to bring NPS to an end. All new entrants into government will, from this point onwards, the 13th of March 2023, will have access to OPS.
Okay.
That means you bring to an end NPS. But the state governments are asking the central government to actually release the funds that have accumulated under the name of those employees over the period that the NPS has been in existence. This is a mess. I mean, you see, this cannot be resolved politically. This has to be resolved on a truly technical basis, with actuarials sitting with policymakers, actuaries sitting with policymakers, to work out the implications of each of the alternatives.
Okay, but can I ask you very quickly?
That has been referred to.
Yes, if we will try to delve more into this on this middle path, but are you in favor of going back to the OPS at all?
I would be if you applied it only to those who would join, as I said,
post this
from
decision.
1st of April 2023.
Okay, because then, no, I'm not sure if that will work on the ground. I'm not sure if that decision is going to work on the ground, because then again, governments will be under a soup by those who have missed out, especially when you go back to a scheme like the OPS. So, Mr. Kapoor, I come to you. Again, financially, is this something that India can do, or do we have to be mature and say that no, the OPS is not a system that can work, but it seems like across party political lines, everybody is falling under pressure?
See, Shivani, what I feel is that the need of the hour is action, because the stage for discussions or submission of memorandums by the people who are affected is over. When I say that, I also mean that we need to understand that the people who are in middle age, they are not in a position or situation to upgrade their skills. And they need some kind of social security at the end of their retirement age, which they are, so that they are able to take care of themselves. We already see that in our country there is a big situation that we lack in terms of health benefits, education benefits, social security benefits in the form of pensions. So I feel that India is on a growth path where we see the size of the economy increasing on a year-on-year basis, and I think Maharashtra has the capability and capacity as well as the might to start the OPS scheme and take care of these very employees who are in need, so that they are able to take care of themselves with a clear set of mind, rather than going into those schemes which are market linked in terms of pensions.
But can I just point out, I'm running a certain statistics of a lot of these states whose pension percentage of their state revenue is already as high as 70%, 80%, over 30% in many cases. And of course, you add salaries and your interest payments, etc. That's roughly all of your budget in some states. So it's not the question of only a rich, progressive state like Maharashtra being able to do it. There are states who cannot afford or doing it. That's the problem.
That's fine. But point is that we also need to understand that a state like Maharashtra, I mean, if we look at that aspect, that we all understand and agree that we have seen in the past that there has been lack of governance on the part of the governments also across states in India. My point is, if the focus of the government is on governance, you will see that the government's coffers are going to increase like never before as well in the future. So my point is that, I mean, this is a scheme which was there in force until 2004, then it was taken back, and then there has been an assurance from time to time. So the point is that this government should be absolutely clear that whether they want to implement it or not, but because justice delayed is justice denied, and it's very important they should come with a clear set of mind whether they want to implement it or not. But delaying it will only create more of problems for the government.
Okay, I'll leave it at that. I do thank all of our guests for joining us. Clearly, it's a very complex issue, one that needs to be resolved sooner than later, and all states, the central government, RBI and others will have to come on board to figure out a way. Otherwise, you know, each state doing its own thing can, of course, lead to issues. With that, it's a wrap from me. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll join you again tomorrow.
Hello everyone, you're watching News Epicenter with me, Maria Shakil. For a second day in a row, there was a massive uproar in Parliament in the wake of Rahul Gandhi's comments in London, where he claimed that Indian democracy is under threat. Union ministers are leading the charge